Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something really cool. We are taking a fascinating look behind the curtain of modern digital creation. We aren't just talking about basic artificial intelligence here. We're going to break down the meticulous, incredibly specific text instructions used to create a hyper-realistic AI video clone. Honestly, it's kind of like peering into the Matrix. We're going to deconstruct the exact recipe someone used to generate an entirely fake, yet terrifyingly convincing, human performance.
Here's our game plan for today. We're going to look at the AI director's vision, crafting the presidential set, directing the digital clone, the safety net of negative prompts, technical generation settings, and finally, the final illusion. Let's get right into it.
Part 1. The AI director's vision. Basically, how we script the AI. Okay, so to really grasp how wild generative AI has gotten, you gotta stop looking at prompts as just simple search queries. They're actually these incredibly dense, multi-layered scripts. Just to put this into perspective, every single instruction, every meticulous detail in the source material we're analyzing today is completely dedicated to generating just a single 30-second output. 30 seconds. That ratio of a huge, demanding input for a relatively tiny output perfectly highlights the sheer level of control you need to pull off a convincing digital illusion. When you actually deconstruct this prompt, it follows a super logical step-by-step flow. It's like building a house from the ground up. Step 1, the creator establishes the character and the physical setting. Step 2, they dictate the camera angles and the physical action. Step 3 is the dialogue and the all-important lip sync. And finally, Step 4, they establish strict boundaries with negative prompts. It is literally a masterclass in structured communication with a machine. Moving on to Part 2, crafting the presidential set, or building authority.
Now, what's really interesting here is that the prompter isn't just saying, hey, put them in a generic room. They are meticulously designing a very specific vibe. Notice the precise targeting here. The prompt specifically asks for an Elon Musk look-alike and drops this digital clone squarely into a luxurious presidential-style office. By taking a highly recognizable, powerful billionaire persona and placing him in a position of simulated political authority, they're basically hacking our subconscious expectations. It automatically commands attention and lends this unearned weight to whatever the clone is about to say.
And they build up that authority with some serious attention to detail. The AI is explicitly instructed to render a polished wooden desk, warm cinematic lighting, elegant gold curtains, and American flags in the background. It literally demands a sophisticated government office atmosphere. These are definitely not random details. Collectively, they build an authentic, commanding office ambience that frames the whole thing in absolute legitimacy.
All right, Part 3, directing the digital clone. Let's look at how they direct the action. So once the set is built, the prompt basically switches hats from set designer to acting coach. They want a performance that is organic and profoundly human. And the framing here? It's honestly genius. The prompt dictates a handheld smartphone selfie mode, complete with subtle natural camera shake and realistic arm movement. It asks for the clone to look directly into the lens with calm, confident, and get this, slightly caring facial expressions. Why go to all that trouble? Because mimicking a personal, intimate recording shot on a phone totally bypasses our critical filters. It feels raw and immediate, like this guy just pulled out his phone to record a video just for you.
Then we get to the actual script. The prompt feeds in the exact dialogue. Mr. Samuel, how are you doing today? I just want to check up on you to know if you're doing all right. But just handing over the words isn't enough, right? The instructions hammer home that there needs to be a clear, natural voice, perfectly synchronized lip movement, and realistic facial animation. The AI has to flawlessly map those spoken words to the digital muscles of the clone's face.
So the crucial point to remember here is that true realism doesn't live in the broad strokes. It lives in the tiny details. Look at this crazy list of micro behaviors demanded by the prompt. Subtle blinking, breathing, eye focus adjustments, small head tilts, microfacial expressions, even natural posture shifts. The prompt explicitly demands that the motion has to feel organic and human, not robotic. By forcing the AI to generate these tiny, almost invisible imperfections, it completely avoids that stiff, artificial look that usually gives an AI video away.
Which brings us to Part 4, negative prompts, the safety net. Because let's face it, even with perfect instructions, things can go horribly wrong. And that is exactly where the prompter outlines what they fear the AI might accidentally create. If a standard prompt is a wish list of do's, a negative prompt is an aggressive list of don'ts. It's a highly specific list of visual and technical errors provided to the AI that it must actively avoid during the generation process. Generative AI absolutely needs these strict boundaries to keep the illusion intact and keep the software from going off the rails.
When we actually break down the negative prompt from our source, it splits into two really fascinating buckets. On the left side, we have face and anatomy fears. The creator is terrified of blurry faces, warped hands, duplicate features, and uncanny eyes. Basically, the anatomical nightmares that instantly ruin the vibe. Then on the right, we have motion and tech fears, things like poor lip sync, flickering, robotic movement, and noisy shadows. So they're setting up guardrails for both the physical appearance of the clone and the technical rendering of the file itself.
Okay, Part 5. Technical generation settings. These are the generation dials.
And we're moving past just language and getting into the actual digital knobs and dials the user tweaks before hitting export. The source material has these highly specific recommended settings. We aren't just letting the AI guess here. The resolution has to be a crisp 1080p or 4K. Lip sync strength is cranked to maximum. Realism is set to ultra-realistic. The stabilization is locked to slight handheld only, again, to preserve that organic camera shake we talked about earlier, paired with a medium shallow depth of field. It requires a crazy amount of technical precision to match the creator's vision.
Interestingly, the settings offer a very specific choice in frame rate. 24 frames per second cinematic versus 30 frames per second realistic. This illustrates a brilliant understanding of visual psychology, honestly. The prompter gives you the option to either emulate that slightly dreamy, traditional feel of a Hollywood film at 24 frames, or lock in the true-to-life, hyper-smooth aesthetic of a real smartphone camera at 30 frames. Finally, Part 6, the final illusion, creating a seamless reality.
This is where all those final aesthetic touches requested in the prompt blend the character, the room, and the text settings together into one cohesive image. The prompt concludes with an absolute barrage of stylistic demands designed to completely trick the human eye. We're talking ultra-detailed photorealistic skin texture and highly detailed gray suit fabric. But they even go beyond the guy himself. They demand realistic reflections on the wooden desk, soft natural shadows, smooth motion rendering, and professional color grading. Dialing in exactly how the light interacts with surfaces, like the desk and the suit, is the ultimate secret to achieving that flawless DSLR quality realism.
And all of this brilliantly highlights our final takeaway today. When you look at the sheer density of a prompt like this, the specific lighting, the micro-expressions, the strict negative boundaries, the technical dials, you realize none of this is an accident. It is a highly calculated science. When recipes for AI generation are this meticulous and thoughtful, how difficult is it going to become to distinguish reality from a digital illusion? Keep that question in the back of your mind the next time a high-profile clip crosses your feed. Thanks for hanging out with me on The Explainer today, and keep learning.